Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 rundown best bet, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Tuesday in Major League Baseball. First up, it's the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Logan Allen and Graham Ashcraft are your starters. Now, I know Graham Ashcraft's got an ERA just below 6 at Great American Ballpark this season, but his last 3 starts at home, actually his last 4 starts at Great American were all quality starts. His last 2 games, his first 2 starts in the month of August, he goes 15 innings combined against the Marlins and Nationals, has a 2.4 ERA, so only 4 earned runs allowed. His strikeout number is starting to tick up a little bit as well. He's keeping the ball on the ground. I think he pitches pretty well in this game, and although the Reds' offense has not been great against lefties as of late, we do know the Reds have hit lefties pretty well overall this season. It's going to be a tough spot here for Logan Allen, a young pitcher at Great American. I do think the Reds get to him for a few runs, and when you look at these bullpens in the last month, the Guardians' bullpen hasn't been that sharp. Their ERA above 5 in the last 30 days. Give me the Cincinnati Reds on the money line. Next up, we see the Houston Astros taking on the Miami Marlins. Johnny Cueto and Christian Javier are your starters. Now, Johnny Cueto 0-3 this season with an ERA above 5, but he is coming off a solid outing against the Reds where the Marlins grabbed the W. Cueto went 5 innings with 5 strikeouts, only gave up 3 runs. You'll take that if you're the Marlins from Cueto. And I remember last year, I had thought that Cueto pitched pretty well against the Astros, so I looked it up, and yes, he did. In 2 starts against Houston, he went 15 innings, so he went deep into both of those ball games. 2 victories for Cueto and the White Sox in those games. He only gave up 1 earned run, only 8 base hits, so a 160 opponent's batting average, a .6 ERA. He dominated this Houston Astros team in 2022. Now, I know it's a new team, very good lineup this season, but I still think with Christian Javier on the other side, not pitching too well this season, the Astros bullpen with some regression concerns with the 4th highest ERA in baseball in the last month, I do think this is a pretty favorable matchup for the home team in the Marlins, so I'm going to take a shot here with the Miami Marlins, getting plus money. Next up, it's the Boston Red Sox taking on the Washington Nationals. James Paxton and Josiah Gray are your projected starters. Josiah Gray has not pitched too well at Nationals Stadium this season, Nationals Park, as he's got an ERA above 5 on the year at home. And the Red Sox have hit righties very well this year, especially in the last month. So I do think they'll be able to get to Josiah Gray. There's also not a great Nationals bullpen, so I do expect a big day for the Red Sox bats. But on the other side, James Paxton, a lefty, the Nationals have all season long basically kept a very low strikeout rate against lefties, decent OPS numbers, and even the last month, decent isolated power numbers. So I'm going to take the over here in Red Sox Nationals. I think we see some scoring early and late. Next up, it's the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Yusei Kikuchi and Zach Wheeler are your starters. Kikuchi's in good form going into this start. Now, overall this year, 3.53 ERA, even better numbers at Rogers Center. And you look at his last 5 games, 1 earned run or fewer in all 5 of those games. Good strikeout numbers, no home runs allowed. The control's been a lot better. So, yes, it's a tough matchup against the Phillies who've hit lefties well this season, but I still think it's tough to go against Kikuchi right now. And the Blue Jays bullpen also been solid this season. Zach Wheeler, his last 2 games, giving up 4 home runs combined. You know, he's pitching well overall for Philadelphia this year and even better numbers on the road. But I have a little bit concerned with this Phillies bullpen. The regression concerns are there. The 5th highest ERA in baseball in the last month. Give me the Toronto Blue Jays here on the money line at Rogers Center. Next up, the New York Yankees taking on the Atlanta Braves with Luis Severino and Bryce Elder as your starters. Elder not in good form going into this starts, giving up 10 earned runs his last 2 starts. Now, both of those games were on the road. He's been slightly better at Truist Park this season, but still, I do think he'll give up a few runs early in this game. But I think the most of the runs in this game are going to be coming from the Atlanta Braves. Facing Severino, this is a really good matchup for Atlanta. We know they've been one of the best lineups in baseball against righties this season. In the last month, that's for sure. And Severino, he is really struggling for New York. He gave up 4 runs in only 2 innings his last start. Gave up 5 runs in 4 innings the previous outing, 9 earned runs against the Orioles in the start before that. So can't trust Severino here against the best lineup in baseball on the road. Give me the over here in Yankees Braves. Next up, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the New York Mets. Bailey Falter and David Peterson are your projected starters. 2 starting pitchers that have struggled in 2023 and are not my favorite options to back. But 2 teams here in this matchup that have struggled against lefties, overall this season and in the last month. I'm going to lean towards the Mets here. I do think Peterson is a slightly better option. I'm going to take the Mets in the first 5 innings, though, because I don't love this Mets bullpen. I do think Pittsburgh has the advantage there. But Peterson at home this season, 30 2/3 innings, 30 strikeouts, only 2 home runs with a sub-3 ERA. He's been much better at Citi Field, as most Mets starting pitchers are, than on the road. So I do think he'll put together a decent outing. He usually doesn't pitch too deep into ball games, maybe 4 or 5 innings. That should be enough for the Mets to take the lead at the end of the first 5. But like I said, I do think if this is a close game late, Pittsburgh's bullpen is the better one. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins hosting the Detroit Tigers. Bailey Ober and Alex Vallejo on the mound for this one. And we saw the same pitching matchup last week between these two teams on August 9th. It was a 9-5 Tigers win in that game. And for me, with the price we're getting, I think it's worth to take the Tigers in this one as well. Bailey Ober has not pitched too well against these Tigers this season. And in that game, gave up 11 base hits and only 5 innings of work. So yes, he had 9 strikeouts. But, he was missing down the heart of the plate like we've seen at certain points this year. Gave up a home run in that game, makes it 5 straight games, giving up a home run for Bailey Ober. Alex Vallejo pitched pretty well in that game. 4 2/3 innings, so didn't pitch too deep, but 5 strikeouts, 3 runs. It was good enough for the Tigers to win it in the end. And the Tigers are 3-2 in his last 5 starts. I'm going to take a shot here with the plus money with the Detroit Tigers. Next up, we see the Oakland A's taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Freddie Tarnok and Dakota Hudson are your starters. Now, I understand why the Cardinals are big favorites. They're at home, and they do have a pretty sizable advantage in the starting pitching matchup, but this is still a team that's 52-66 going into Monday's games, so I don't want to lay this minus 250 price or, lay the run line and lay negative odds with St. Louis here. For me, I'd rather just look at the team total over for St. Louis. I do think they're going to have a big day offensively. Freddie Tarnok is a prospect for the Oakland A's, but 14 2/3 innings, 11 walks so far, so his control's been off. He's also given up 4 home runs thus far. I don't love his matchup here against a Cardinals team that, yes, it's been a disappointing season, but their numbers are solid against righties overall in the last month. The top 10 in baseball in team OPS, top 15 in isolated power, a low strikeout rate to go with it. So against Tarnok and one of the worst bullpens in baseball, I do think St. Louis has a big day offensively. Give me the team total over 5.5 runs for the St. Louis Cardinals at Busch Stadium. Next up, the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Texas Rangers. Lucas Giolito and Jordan Montgomery are your starters. I do think Jordan Montgomery is the better option on the mound in this game, but I also think he has much better lineup and bullpen to go with it to back him up. So I'm willing to take the Rangers and lay the 1.5 runs here. Giolito mixed results so far as an Angel ERA now just below 5 on the just above 4 on the season. And the Rangers great numbers against righties this year in the last month. They're top 5 in baseball in team OPS, top 6 in isolated power. Pretty low strikeout rate and high walk rate to go with it. Giolito has not pitched well on the road this season. I think he struggles in this one. And then the Angels bullpen behind him. We talk about it all the time. This Angels bullpen in the last month, not very good expected numbers, and ERA above 5. Give me the Rangers here laying the 1.5 runs at Globe Life Field. Next up, we see the Chicago White Sox taking on the Chicago Cubs. Touki Toussaint and Kyle Hendricks are your starters. Now, Hendricks faced the White Sox back on July 25th, pitched really well in that game. It was a quality start and a win for the Cubs, 7-3 final score. Hendricks went 6 1/3 innings, giving up only 3 runs, no home runs, and only 1 walk in that game. I think he pitches well in this one. The White Sox in the last month, 28th in baseball in isolated power against righties, 29th in team OPS, pretty high strikeout rate and low walk rate to go with it. So a good matchup here for Hendricks. Touki Toussaint's been decent in the role he's had this year, but not in great form as of late, giving up 8 earned runs and 2 homers in his last 2 starts against the Yankees and Rangers, 10 1/3 innings combined in those 2 games. He faced the Cubs, but only pitched 1 inning in that game on July 26th. It was a shutout inning, but I just don't love him in this spot. Give me the Cubs here on the money line as they've been crushing righties, and I think they grab the W. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Kansas City Royals. Emerson Hancock and Jordan Lyles are your projected starters. I got to go with the Mariners in this game, but it's not my favorite game on the board. I just don't love the price we're getting with Seattle, but I still think the Mariners have a big advantage in the bullpen in this one. Even beyond the starting pitchers, Kansas City's bullpen's been one of the worst in baseball all season in ERA and expected numbers. I think it struggles, late in this game. But Jordan Lyles, even though he's been slightly better in the second half of the year than the first half, he is still losing a lot of games for Kansas City this season. And in his last 4 starts, 4 or more earned runs given up in 3 of those 4 games. So I can't trust him here. Give me the Seattle Mariners on the money line. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the San Diego Padres. Michael Wacha returns to the mound for San Diego, and Jack Flaherty on the other side for the Orioles. Now, Michael Wacha, he was pitching really well this season. Overall, 8-2 record, 2.84 ERA. He actually struggled quite a bit in the month of April, the first month of the year. He had an ERA just below 7, but in May and June, he was one of the best pitchers in the league. And he's facing an Orioles team that in the last month actually doesn't have great numbers against righties offensively, where they're 24th in baseball in team OPS. So I do think San Diego's offense actually, has been better against righties in the last 30 days or so. And Jack Flaherty, he's been better as of late, but still an ERA above 4 on the season with some inconsistencies with his control, in 2023. His last start was solid, but he only went 5 innings against the Astros in that 8-2 Orioles loss. Gave up a home run in that game with 8 strikeouts. So strikeout numbers are always going to be there for Flaherty, but you always got to worry about the control, and usually the control early in his outings. I do think the Padres have the better starter here. I think they have the better lineup right now, at least against righties. I'm going to take San Diego on the money line at Petco Park. Next up, it's the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Colorado Rockies. We're going to see Ty Blach for Colorado, no official starter for the D-backs. Blach had a really good outing his last start against the Dodgers, 6 innings, only 1 run. He's only got 13 strikeouts in 32 innings this season. He's more of a pitch-to-contact guy. I'd like to see those strikeout numbers rise a little bit, but he's been solid at Coors Field so far through 14 1/3 innings, a sub-4 ERA. He's facing a Diamondbacks team that offensively against lefties and righties has struggled in the last month, but overall against lefties have not had good numbers this season. And if this is a bullpen game or the bullpen's utilized heavily in this game for Arizona, this bullpen's been one of the worst in the league in the last month. An ERA at 6.54 in the last 30 days, with the 6th highest SIERA as well. Give me the Colorado Rockies here on the money line at Coors Field. Next up, the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the San Francisco Giants. Zach Littell faces his former team and no official starter for the Giants right now. Could be another bullpen game for San Francisco. It's been a very good bullpen overall in 2023 for the Giants. Zach Littell's pitched well. He's got decent expected numbers in terms of the xFIP. And, this Giants lineup against righties and lefties has not been great in the last month. We know the Rays are going to be missing Wander Franco in the lineup for a little while. He's a big bat for this team, one of the best hitters in the American League this season. So I think we're going to see a low-scoring game in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. Give me the under here at Oracle Park. And the final game for Tuesday's card in Major League Baseball, the Milwaukee Brewers and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Bobby Miller and Adrian Hauser are your starters in this one. Now, I do think Bobby Miller is the better starter in this game, and I also think he has a much better lineup right now behind him, with the Dodgers hitting righties very well in the last 30 days. Team OPS ranked 3rd, isolated power in the top 15, a low strikeout rate, a high walk rate. They should be able to get to Adrian Hauser, but I don't love the Dodgers in the full game because this bullpen for Milwaukee has actually been one of the best in baseball last 2 months or so. In the last month, an ERA at 3.11 with the best SIERA in the league. The Dodgers bullpen, not so great expected number-wise. The ERA's been very good, but I do worry about some regression going forward. So for me, I'd rather just take the Dodgers in the first 5 innings, lay the half a run, as I like the starting pitching matchup for LA. And that's it. Those are the games for Tuesday in Major League Baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.